This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, episode 001. Today on our show,
Melissa Sharkbait Dugan, overall ass kicker organizer of the world's toughest mudder community.
Which reminds me, this is a grown-up show using grown-up words. So if you're in your car with your kids, you should probably turn the podcast off and talk to your kids and ask them how school went and what happened with that cute redhead. Anyway, you get the idea. New episodes will be up each Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe and get them straight to your phone or your computer as soon as they go online. There's 3 ways you can give feedback. I would love to hear what you guys think of the show. You can email me, willhicks@gmail.com. That helps me. You can post on the World's Toughest Mudder community page. That helps the community as a whole. Or you can leave a review on iTunes, and that helps the world at large. Today on our show, Melissa Sharkbait Dugan. She's done 31 Tough Mudders and 3 World's Toughest Mudders. She's the adult over at the World's Toughest Mudder community page, keeping everybody in line. Melissa Dugan, tell me about your first World's Toughest Mudder.
Oh, my first world's toughest mudder. That's actually my favorite memory of all time. It was 2014, the year of the sandstorm, the first year of Las Vegas. And I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I couldn't sleep for weeks leading up to it. And so, it starts off, the second the buzzer goes off and you go through the starting line, the nerves went away because it's like, it's happening. No matter what's happening, it's going to happen. And the first, 10 hours or so was fine. I had never done, I'd never really done a real endurance event before. So I really took my time and I walked a lot of it because I didn't want to go all out and then have to be pulled at 12 hours because it was so important for me to last the whole time. And, that sandstorm started, that year we started at 10 a.m.? I don't remember. I think we started at 10 a.m. that year. So, it was like 11 o'clock at night. The sandstorm started, and it was so cool. I remember I thought it was amazing. I thought it was awesome. And I got cold, but I never got really bad until when the sun came up. Remember all the obstacles reopened as the sun came up, the ones that were shut down overnight, and there was that one we had to go under those big blue barrels and get our head wet, because pretty much the rest of the event at night you didn't get your head wet that much, because that's when, like, even King of Swingers, everything was falling down, so you didn't even have to get your head wet because you didn't have to get in the water, and all the other water stuff you kept your head above water. But I'll never forget, I was like in good spirits even though everyone was like dying. I remember I went under the water at like 6 a.m. and I literally came out of that obstacle a different person. I got really quiet. It got me cold, and it took everything to finish. But finishing that and crossing, I cried like the entire last lap. Just over relief of being done, of course, right. But of pride. And knowing that so many people had stopped. It was really eerie because all night long I kept imagining. Prior, you hear about the party, like the atmosphere at nighttime of the pit crew and of Tent City, and it was none of that. It was, at one time there was nobody there. There was no announcement. Sean, everyone had a bunker down, and going through the finish line a couple of laps at night, you're like, okay, I'm just going to keep walking because there's nobody here. There's nobody anywhere. Even the orphan tent, the few people we even had then, it was kind of like they had to bring the canopy down over them, and they were basically like telling people to go away because they couldn't help them. But that 2014 was amazing, and even though I hated the sandstorm, I loved it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. The most miserable stuff makes the best memories sometimes.
Well, and it's kind of true. I mean, I'll always remember that. I'll always remember that year. I mean, it's your first, so I think your first is always special, but it was just to push through that, and I've never done anything like that ever. I never did any crazy anything, and to do something like that and to succeed, it was pretty cool.
How did you do this year?
Good. I actually did better. Than I thought I was going to. I got 50 miles again, which I got last year, but in 2015, when I got to the 50, I know with all my heart, I never would have hit the 50 if there weren't certain people with me at certain times. It was one of those, like, I really felt that the suns, the moons and the stars aligned for me that night and that year, because I was with certain people at certain times, and they had the pace that not to match my pace. They had the pace I needed to continue to be pushed. And honestly, and I didn't really share this, but the majority of 2016 in training, I just, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's not going to happen this year. I'm not going to be aligned with the right people. I'm not going to be pushed. I'm not going to hit that 50 miles this year. And no, it's not about the mileage. It's about the 24 hours, that I even preach that, but it is. I mean, once you hit 50, you're like, okay, I have to hit it again, if not do better, unless of course there's an injury. So by hour 12, I was a full lap ahead of where I was last year, or in 2015. So I was like ecstatic. Now I knew at that point, well, it doesn't mean I'm going to get an additional lap over the next 12 hours. I knew I was going to slow down at some point. So I thought, well, hey, I can get 55. That'd be awesome. Until right at that 12-hour mark, my right shoulder, well, on my second obstacle lap, so my third lap, I was on top of Everest helping, and I don't know who the gentleman was, but it was a older gentleman, a bigger guy, and he ran, and I went to grab for him, and I'm holding him alone, and he didn't have the strength to pull up, and I didn't have the strength to pull him up, so we just kind of hung there for a while until somebody could help, and I could feel a twinge in my shoulder, and then by that hour 12, I was really starting to feel it on Funky Monkey, which was so much fun, and King of Swingers, which was so much fun. And I made because I almost cried coming off of the King of Swingers that lap. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I have to be done, which, knock on wood, thank God I did. Because my therapist, when I saw her after, she said, you started to tear that tendon. And if you tore it all the way through, you would have torn your rotator cuff and you would have had to have surgery. So I slowed down. I of course kind of slowed down anyway, because I also broke my foot, come to find out, but I had to take way more penalties than the first 12 hours. So I ended up getting 50, but I got 50 over an hour faster than I did last year, which I was happy about. And last year, and now obviously it's 2017, so I'm referencing 2016's, but in 2015, when we finished across the finish line, I pretty much wandered around for a little bit because I didn't know where I was, and then got in a car and put my head down on my chest and fell asleep just immediately. Right. This time I had all the energy. I was in the finishing chute for the final hours. Everybody came through. I was congratulating everybody, and I went home, took a shower, and didn't fall asleep for a few hours. So there were some definite positives to this last year. Because I really was worried I wasn't going to hit 50 again, but I didn't have anyone to pace me this year. I mean, I met up with certain people at certain times, but there was no, and it wasn't planned in 2015 that these people would run with me. It literally just happened. And, so I didn't plan anything, and I was alone a lot, this past year, and I was fine. I didn't need that push, which was big for me.
How did you break your foot?
I don't know. I don't think it was one thing. I think it was just overall stress. Well, okay. My right leg from my glute hip area all the way down to my foot is a problem. That's just where I have all my problems. And everything. I think what it was, or what my therapist thinks it is, the front of my lower leg is. Even though it doesn't feel tight, it's apparently tight. And my toes, all my toes on my right foot right now are pulled up a little bit more than my left. And that's causing me to run different on my feet. And so not only did I break the itty bitty, I mean, I didn't even know I broke it. Itty bitty toe, or itty bitty bone right below my fourth toe, ironically right behind the tattoo, my world's toughest mudder tattoo on my foot. But the tendons all around it and on the bottom of my foot were all inflamed. I thought I broke the bottom of my foot because I kept feeling clicking, but it was a tendon swollen. But it was just overall strain and stress, and it just happened. And I could feel it the last 15 miles, like every step I could feel clicking. But again, that was a tendon. So it's all fine. It's fine. I didn't have to do a boot or anything. My therapist in Florida, she's amazing. She very unorthodox, and she even does surgery without anesthesia on herself. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, and so I didn't have to. Yeah, so I didn't have to do anything except stay off of it for literally 2 weeks, and I'm back running better than ever. So I'm happy.
What did you think of this year's course?
After 2015. With all the water and the cold and everything. Well, of course they can't control the weather, but I thought one of two things. I said, okay, because Brady isn't the race director in 2016, either they're going to, and we made this huge deal about this is Brady's final hurrah, and he made it amazing, and we wouldn't shut up about how great it is. So I thought, okay, either headquarters is going to want to make it even harder on us, and I felt more strongly towards the fact that they really want somebody to hit that $100,000 so they can use that as advertising, and then that they make it a faster course. And once CBS came on board, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're probably going to make it a faster course. No, I mean, I thought it was cool. I like all the swimming. And, again, I like all the misery. I like all that stuff. I was burning up until I didn't put the top of my wetsuit on. I mean, I was running around just a tank top. The medics were just like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm hot. I was so hot until the cliff opened, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the full wetsuit on because I'm not going to jump with the wetsuit flapping around my waist. But no, I mean, I thought it was fun. I loved the obstacles. I loved, and I got to do some of them in the Obstacle Innovation Lab in, August. But Augustus Gloop was really cool. Love Funky Monkey Revolution. I love all that stuff. And King of Swingers, that one was the best just because it freaked us all out, because the day prior we had seen Wesley Kerr almost kill himself on local live TV trying it for the first time. I'm like, well, geez, if Wesley Kerr can't even make it. But that's because he was trying to lachey and whatever. Obviously, he made it a million times after that. But going up to it and doing it for the first time and completing it, knowing it was easy, it was like, that was really cool because it looked scary. But I thought it was fun. I have to say, I had more fun in 2016 than I had the years prior. Because it wasn't the misery.
Oh, yeah. What was your favorite obstacle?
Probably King of Swingers, just because you look really cool when you do it. Or, Double Rainbow, King of Swingers.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, they changed King of Swingers for this year's World's Toughest Mudder. It was actually 2 bars. So instead of having to hit a bell, swing to a bar, from a bar to hit a bell, there were 2 bars, and you had to swing from the first bar to the second bar, and if you completed it successfully, you got to stay dry. And if you failed, obviously you fall in the water and you got to do a penalty lap. But so yeah, that was a nice bonus this year to motivation to finish the obstacle.
It was. Well, yeah, and that was a far drop, and B, that penalty took a while. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you had to crawl through a tube too for it. So.
Yeah, because I remember, I don't know what the penalty was for operation this year, because I didn't do it. I did operation every time, but I know in 2015 I did the penalty once for operation. And everyone said, "Oh, it was so easy." I'm like, I didn't like it. I don't, because I get all achy. I don't. The fewer times I have to get down and crawl, I don't. I just get so achy after so many hours. I just like, that's the worst thing. I'm the one rolling under Kiss the Mud, going just whining the whole time.
It was almost the same as 2016 operation penalty was almost the same as 2015. There was a sandbag through a tube. They routed you a little bit differently, but it was about the same distance.
Oh, okay.
I was running with a couple guys, and one time we were trying to figure out which is faster, just time-wise, not just, and so we had one of us did the penalty and the other of us did the, and it's almost exactly the same. So,
but for me, the doing operation wasn't so much about time. It was more last year, because in 2014. I lost my mind after my head got wet. I was so out of it. I got really mean. And at the end, there were pictures that popped up. I was hugging. There's this picture of me and Maddie Gregg hugging. And I'm like, I I don't remember seeing you. He said, oh, you had no idea where you were, what day it was. He said, you were so out of it. So in 2015, when we've heard about the operation obstacle, I remember saying to myself, okay, if I can continue to do that for the entire event and I can successfully complete it at the end, then I know I would have to have the mental stability at the end to do that, because if you're kind of out of it, you're going to be hitting it and being zapped all over the place. So to me, it was more of me testing if I was there mentally or not. And also, both years we've had operation, both in the middle of the night when I got really tired, I'd accidentally hit the side, and boy, it woke me up, and it would keep me awake for quite a while. So I was like, that's kind of a good thing.
What do you think about returning to Vegas for 2017?
Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean, for business, for CBS, and I'm all for whatever it takes to grow Tough Mudder, because I want to do it as long as I can, and unless they grow and make money, they can't, which makes sense. But I mean, I just kind of want something different, and I'm over the cliff now, so I do not want to do the cliff again. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to, but I jumped only once in 2014 because of with the nightfall, and then I ended up taking the penalty loop with somebody. That's a long story. That was Joe Perry. He almost died. It was horrible. But in 2015, I jumped every single time, no hesitation. I was great. 2016, for whatever, and I think it was because the first 12 hours I got that whole extra lap in by midnight, and I remember feeling tired at midnight, not overly tired, but pretty tired. And when I got to the cliff, I was a little disoriented, and I jumped. They didn't let me. In 2015, I stood at the very back of the plank. I told them, okay, tell me when I can go. They say, okay, go ahead, and I would just walk off.
That's the trick.
There was no. Okay, thank you. But you know what they told me in 2016? You're not allowed to do that.
Oh, I did it. I had a different volunteer that I did it.
I saw a video of other people doing it, but my volunteer said, no, you have to come to the end and you have to stop. So I did, and what happened, I'm kind of out of it because I'm tired, and I had already planned on getting caffeine at the end of that lap.
Right.
So I look down. I kind of freak out a little bit, but I look down. I remember kind of moving around a little bit, like, okay, maybe I'm going to take the penalty. And I went ahead and said, screw it. And I jumped, but I was looking down, so my upper body followed my head.
Oh, no.
And when I landed on my chest the point where the medic started screaming at me, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'll never forget, I could not breathe. I had completely knocked one out of myself. And I started going, okay, because I'm like, do not pull me from this water, man. Do not touch me. So I get on my back, and I'm barely swimming, and I just kept saying over and over, I'm fine, because I couldn't breathe. And I eventually made it, and I almost cried. I was so scared at that point that I took the penalty. Now, I hate EST with a passion. I did it 20 times. I just can't do it anymore.
Electroshock.
Electroshock therapy, 10,000 volts. I don't want to. In 2015, the penalty for not doing the cliff was EST, and I think that's what motivated me to jump every single time.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, the penalty in 2016 was okay. It's a half-mile run in a kiss of mud. That kind of made me. I don't want to do the cliff anymore. So I didn't do the cliff any other time I took the penalty. So I took a lot of penalties this year, more out of some injury, but that was for fear, for sure. And I think you were asking me another question before I got to the cliff.
Eli and Nolan did a video from Team HQ a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, saying that the reason they're going back to Vegas is because they feel like they have unfinished business. And
what a trampoline at the bottom of the cliff. Well, I don't know. You saw the new obstacles with King of Swingers is going to be some kind of zip line with a cargo net jump or something.
You're talking about the Toughest Mudder obstacles. Yeah, that one makes me nervous. Jumping into a cargo net is not easy.
I know. People are going to really hurt their fingers. But that'll be fun.
It's hard to tell from... They put out a video a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, with the 4 or 5 new obstacles for Toughest Mudder, the 8-hour race they're premiering this year. And it's hard to tell from the video of... I don't know what they're calling it. It's the King of Swingers 2.0 or whatever. But it's hard to tell if you have to jump from the bar to the net, or if you can not lâcher, but keep one hand on the bar and then reach out with one hand, kind of like we did for Double Rainbow.
Oh, that would make it a lot better.
I'm hoping it's the latter, so that jumping into a cargo net like that is just asking for an injury, but I'm sure.
Well, yeah, because think about this. What if so you jump and you're kind of going with your hands and probably your feet, like they're both going at the same time. What if your hands miss and your feet get caught and you go down backwards?
Okay,
I mean, there's so many things.
I was worried about that too. I've watched this digital video they have like probably 30 times, and it looks like you have to grab it. It doesn't look like your feet can reach. Like it's high enough up so that you're hanging from either the bottom of that net or maybe the second rung up on that net, and then you slide down the 20 or 30 feet to the other side. And again, a bonus is you get to stay dry if you can nail it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you think about those toughest 8-hour events?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm just like logistically, I'm trying to figure it out, like how, and the internal struggle of I want to run on Saturday, but then I want to do well Saturday night. And then of course the Sunday fun day lap, as long as you have the energy, you do it. But that's the only thing I struggle with. But I'm extremely excited. I think it's great. I think it's great training. B, any reason for us to all get together, I love. I'm going to miss Saturday night dinners with everybody, but I mean, that's only at a few events. But no, I think it's great. I think it's going to bring people that maybe they're not necessarily too scared to do World's Toughest Mudder, but they don't think they can handle an endurance event like that. And then they can come and try Toughest, and maybe that lights their fire of, well, I can do it, and maybe, it's that transition from, okay, I'm going to do for the weekend and just do Tough Mudder once. And then the transitions, okay, I'm going to multi-lap, and then it's going to be, I'm going to multi-lap multiple days. And now I'm going to do Toughest. And it just is a good way to get into World's Toughest Mudder. Cause that's how I had to do it. I had to kind of ease my way in. Some people just say, I'm just going to run World's Toughest. So
it took me 2 or 3 years to get up the nerve to sign up for World's Toughest. But I probably would have signed up for an 8-hour like right away,
Yeah, I think most people would do that. I heard that they were putting caps on and they have to, of how many people can do it. And I don't think they've hit the caps. I think it was 500 people an event.
They've said it's going to be one wave. I haven't seen an official number, but some guys on the Facebook page had, I don't know if they heard something or if they were just guessing, like 500 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to even remember where I heard it because there's so much talk and it's been going on for months. I think they announced that back. Was it? No, it wasn't that long ago.
It was before World's Toughest. They announced it.
Okay, it was. Okay, yeah, it was. Maybe it was even announced in August or something. I don't know. But I think it's awesome. I think, more events gives more opportunity for people to experience it.
Are you already signed up?
Yep, I'm signed up. I'm officially signed up for one, which is L.A., the first one, in March.
Awesome. I will be there.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think I did a Battle Frog there, and it's the first one that Ryan Adkins ever designed, Battle Frog, San Diego, beginning of a year ago, this month probably, or February.
I was at that Battle Frog race. Were you there?
Okay, yeah. But that was all like I'm not a big fan of racetracks. That's probably why I'm not a raceway. I only like because when it's always muddy when I'm there and you just slide down in your wetsuit. But all the hills, all the little up and down, it's going to be hard for people to get high mileage there, but not as hard as Whistler. I don't think I'll be at Whistler. I am 99.9% sure I'm doing Atlanta. I'm going to be moving in April, so I'm trying to coordinate all that. I will coordinate around that event, but I just want to make sure, get everything set in stone before I sign up.
Sure.
And I'm hearing Chicago is going to be the flattest course.
I've heard that.
But it's the week before the new event, OCR US.
Oh, down in Texas. Are you going to that?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I love to be at the first of whatever.
Right.
Because you don't know if it's going to come back. Like I went to Urban Mudder in New York City because I knew it wasn't coming back. And it's really cool. And I went to the first OCR World Championships. And so it's now this is an extension of that, so it won't be like a new thing. But yeah, I think it's cool, and I think it will be a whole different playing field. Not that I'm not really fast, so I'm not the best competitor at short distance stuff, but I might place better because all those fast people from other countries will be there because they seem to be a lot faster than us Americans. No offense to the competitive Americans, but.
Every email I get from Tough Mudder still has a Urban Mudder link on the very bottom of the email.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah.
We should tell them that. They probably don't realize that. I mean, the half is what took over, so they're not going to come back with Urban Mudder. It was fun, but I mean, you literally never got muddy, and you got in 2 inches of water. That was it. So.
How many Tough Mudder events have you done?
Worlds this past year was 34, not including I don't know if I can't really include the obstacle innovation lab. So 34, not including the halves that I've done, because you can't count those.
Yeah.
And so not count, I've done 2 halves. So 34.
They're real good 34. For like friends or family that know that you're into this, but they don't know if they want to do a full 10 miles. So.
Oh no, I love it. Like my little sister did it. Hopefully she'll do the full this year. No, I think it's great. And again, anything that will get people out. And I did notice that when I did the first half in Virginia last year, almost every single person out on course was like a newbie, and they just like me and Sally Benson were with my sister on the second lap I did that day of the half. And we were going up and over the Berlin walls unassisted, and we were showing people how to do it. And these people were, I mean, just like every person there was like, I don't even understand how you could do that. Like, but in a normal event, a lot of people are going over by themselves, but sure. It was interesting to see, but the camaraderie was stronger than a normal full Tough Mudder. They were very much team building and team oriented, and it was awesome to see them. They were helping each other. What's
your favorite course that you've run? Like the Tough Mudder courses.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh man, I like them for different reasons. Like Whistler, I went to Whistler in 2015. Oh my God, that was gorgeous.
Jim Campbell told me Whistler is the best course Tough Mudder has.
Well, first off, it's tough. I mean, you're going up and down this amazing mountain, and I'm not used to mountains or hills or anything. I currently live in South Florida. I grew up on the East Coast of Virginia. I'm moving back to the East Coast of Virginia in April. Really excited to move back. And but everything's flat. So like I ran hills this morning because I was in the mountains of Virginia traveling for work, and even what most people would consider just little rolling hills, was a killer for me. But Whistler was gorgeous, but it was June, and it was hailing on us. I mean, it was good, and no one expected that weather. And so Whistler was beautiful. Okay, I went to, me and Corey, my boyfriend, went to Ireland and England in May this past year, and we did Tough Mudder Midlands.
Wow.
And I gotta say that was, even though I was extremely hungover because it was his birthday the day before and we got about an hour of sleep, it was awesome because we were running through like next to a castle. We were like, I was chasing sheep in a field.
Across the heather.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Every time I run World's Toughest Mudder, I'll see someone like Amelia, or this year I saw Ryan Atkins and John Albin, who are on the hunt for $100,000. They get up Everest 2.0 just by themselves easily, and they turn around and help the next 2 or 3 people up. It's amazing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of us, when we see it, we're like, go. Like one of Corey's favorite moments of 2015 was exactly that. He got up. He was up Everest helping, and all of a sudden he looks down and he's helping the Synergy team, which is Ryan Atkins and John and the other 2 gentlemen that were on that team last year. And I remember he said that they turned around to help, and he was like, "Oh, I'll stay up here an extra 5 minutes just to take cover for you," because he wanted that team to beat I think it was a German team right on their tail. And he was like, "Go, go, go!" So he his claim to, I helped Ryan win the team event or whatever, But he did. He's like, we always push him, or we'll also. I remember seeing Pack in line for King of Swingers in 2014, and I'm looking at him. He's just standing there in line, and I was like, "You need to go ahead of all of us." And we pushed him. but they won't say it. Some people I'm hearing were saying it the past couple of years, but a lot of times they won't say it. They just patiently wait, which is awesome. But I mean, I don't know. If I was that good, I'd be screaming it all over the place. Get out of my way.
You mentioned that one of your best memories is the sandstorm at World's Toughest in 2014. What's the lowest point you've ever been at the Tough Mudder or World's Toughest?
There's two distinct memories. One was in 2014 after I got my head wet and I was really cold. And okay, the other thing was I never did Raceway, New Jersey, the location of the first 3 World's Toughest Mudders. But I knew everybody, a ton of people that did it, and they all would tell the same story of, it's horrible and it's dark and you're running around at night and you're just waiting for the sun to rise, because the sun rises, you feel the warmth of the sun, and you just have this new energy. Well, guess what happens in the desert of Las Vegas? The sun rises and the temperatures drop more. And I remember because that was like a thing. When it was like 4 a.m., I kept saying out loud, because I had Chad Masick with me the majority of the night of that. And Corey was with me at some point, and a friend, Eric, and all these different people. And some of them were really down and really quiet and cold, and I kept saying, it's only 2 more hours to the sunrise. I kept counting down till the sunrise, and I'm so positive about it. Mm-hmm. And the sun comes up, and it gets really cold, and I got so mad. But so there's a picture of me going through the Kiss of Mud. So you remember at the end of the lap, I guess before the cliff jump, was Kiss of Mud up into sewage outlet. You go run, crawl under, and then you have to go through the tube and then fall backwards into a bunch of water. I'm crawling, and like I said, I get really, I just get achy, and I just could not stop crying, and I got stuck. Like my windbreaker got stuck in the barbed wire, and there's this picture of me, because my pit crew, Chris Maxfield, was following. That was the very last lap, and was following the last lap, taking pictures, because it took like 4 hours, because I could barely move. I had hurt myself so bad, and there's this picture of me with just my head in the dirt, and I'm just crying, and I'm underneath barbed wire, and I'm stuck to it. And it was probably one of the lowest points, because I was like, I just want to be done. And I knew I was a quarter mile from the finish, and here I am stuck. In 2015, some of the lowest points where I was saying is, like, I had to really push. Like, I finished the 50 miles of 2015. I think I had 7 minutes to spare. That was it before the cutoff. And so I knew I was close the whole 24 hours, that I had to keep pushing. And I had to leave. There are 3 people in particular I remember I had to leave. They were too slow, or they hurt themselves. And that's not us. That's not, normal Tough Mudder or things like that. Like, you stay with that person. You make sure that they're okay, or you help them along. But I knew it's either, if I stay with you, I will not hit my goal. And I work so hard all year round that I'm going to hit my goal. And everyone understood, and no one was upset. And I talked to all of the 3 people afterwards, and they were like, no, I didn't even think twice about it. I even told you to go. But those were really low points, because that's the last thing you want to do. Is you want to help people, you want to help them hit their goals, and then when you have to leave them, and then you hit yours and they failed or had to get pulled, and you think, well, what if I just stayed with them? Maybe they would have done better or whatever. But I mean, it's a competition. It's not a normal Tough Mudder, and you go into World's Toughest Mudder with, you have different mindsets. Some people go and they're like, I don't care what the mileage is. I want to do 24 hours and I want to experience it. Mm-hmm. If that means that I'm sitting at an obstacle for 20 minutes every time to help people, then that's fine. But other people, it's like, I work really, and that was me, and that's me every year I've done it. I work really hard all year long. This is my final event. Every other event, literally everything I do, even OCR World Championships, the international World Championships that we have, what I tell people is our version of the Olympics, that is still just training for World's Toughest Mudder. I don't give OCR World Championships my best, because World's Toughest Mudder is coming up. So I go, and I'm going to be what I might, I still, of course, help people. I turn around and I help them, but I'm not going to stop and, hurt my time or hurt my mileage for other people as much as I deep down hate it. Mm-hmm. So,
speaking of time, this year they just announced they're kind of testing out Tougher Mudder, where they're going to, at 4 races, 4 Tough Mudder events, they're going to have a timed first wave. And it's kind of controversial on the community group there.
Well, yeah, because for all these years, we're in our 6th year, that we don't need to be timed. That's not what it's about. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you are now. But that, to me, it falls under the same thing with Toughest, the same thing with the half, the same thing with the Urban Mudder. It's just another thing that can bring different types of people to these events. So the Battle Frog, I loved Battle Frog. Not like I love Tough Mudder, but I love Battle Frog. I was a huge supporter of Battle Frog. I flew all over the country doing those. And a lot of people that like Battle Frogs, of course, I wear all my Tough Mudder gear there, except my bib. And people might say, and I'd like, hey, why don't you go do Tough Mudder and stuff? And they're like, oh, it's not as competitive. So this will open up for those people that maybe do Spartan races, and this just gives another opportunity for them to do another race, or people that maybe don't do Spartan races and they did Battle Frogs and now they want to do, Tough Mudder, tougher.
Yeah.
Tougher. Okay. I'm probably never going to do it, to be honest, because I don't. First off, I want to do my first wave. All of us World's Toughest Mudder people try to get together at the first wave. Now, obviously, for those events that they have tougher mudder, we're not going to. We'll be the second wave. But I'll shoo them all off. Now, they're going to have it at New Orleans, I think. I heard.
Yeah, New Orleans.
I think that's one of the first.
Yep. The New Orleans is the first one of the year in March. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's St. Patty's Day weekend, and it's in New Orleans. So, Sydney Marie, she's doing tougher, and she messaged me and she said, "Are you going to do it?" I said, "Heck no! I'm not even going to be running at those events. That event will either be, I will be hungover, I will be drunk, because that's going to be New Orleans and freaking St. Patty's Day weekend, and it's the first one of the year. So it's the first time we're going to see everybody. So no, and there's going to be a huge number of World's Toughest Mudder people there. I'm so excited for that one too.
It's also a week before the first Toughest Mudder, so you don't want to get hurt.
Exactly. So, and I don't know how hard I'm going to go for the LA Toughest. I mean, we'll see. The controversy about what qualifies you for the contender wave of World's Toughest, that's a big controversy, because right now there is no official. It was you had to get 25 miles, and now they're talking about it's the first 30 competitors. Well, that might really diminish a lot of people's chances of being in the contender wave, which people are upset about, but I get it. If a lot of people that do World's Toughest Mudder can hit 25 miles, then half of the 1,500 people running World's Toughest Mudder is going to be in that first, quote, competitor wave. Right. That's not what they want. They want the select best few to be in that contender wave. So, I mean, whatever. And my understanding, and when I talked to headquarters, I was very clear about, please don't, give my opinion of, don't let them go first. I understand if we're all in the starting corral and they're in the front, like there's a little line and you have to be a contender. That's cool. But please let us all be together. Like and it's more just about, there's going to be a lot of our favorite people and people that we love that are going to be in the contender, and we all want to experience that starting together. And I said, it's a big family. You don't, hopefully we're all together. There's just this line and they get towards the starting line first, which I'm fine. I don't care about that. What's really another 2 minutes that I have to wait to get through the starting line over 24 hours?
I think some of the frustration is because it's getting contender status is another status you can earn, and I can see why people are disappointed either way.
Oh no, I get it too. Well, and now people have been obsessing over how long do I need to take a lap, how long are my pit stops for 25 miles, or that 40. Some people are going for the 40-mile mark to get a free entry. Mm-hmm. So to all of a sudden find out that maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I could get 25 or 30 miles, and that still is not fast enough to get me in this new required top 30 pick. So that's frustrating too. And I get that. I mean, I understand their frustration, but at the same time, everyone's so upset that it's very unclear. And, they said one thing and now they're changing their mind. It's the first time. I mean, remember, this is this big corporation, but they're just people figuring it out. And they take a lot of their direction and suggestions from us. And so they're going to have to probably see what's going to happen. Like even the OCR World Championships, okay? My first question to them was, is Toughest going to be a qualifying event. And they said, well, of course it is. We just have no idea what mileage or how we're going to gauge what's a qualifying mileage or whatever placement to be at the World Championships for them. So, I mean, even OCR World Championships doesn't know. I mean, just in the sense of it has to be figured out. Nobody knows how it's going to go. We don't know. And Tough Mudder doesn't know. They can guess, but who knows until we actually do it.
People were looking at the 6 toughest locations, trying to figure out which one had the best chance which one would be the flattest, so that you could get the 25 miles the easiest there.
Yeah, but it might be but if it's top 30, then it won't matter. Maybe the majority of the people would have a better chance going to Whistler just because. I mean, I can't even imagine doing Whistler for top. I mean, I only did 1 lap each day. I didn't even multi-lap that place. I could have, but I didn't. And it would have taken a lot of energy. And I can't believe. Oh, I think Joe Perry did do it. Did he do it 3 times that first day? I just couldn't believe it.
3 times in one day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. I remember he did. Yeah. It's crazy. He's a madman.
What's your favorite obstacle?
Probably Funky Monkey.
Funky Monkey?
Because when I first started doing obstacle races and Tough Mudders, I had 0 upper body strength. Like I mean, I remember I couldn't even go like 4 rungs, and I'd fall. I had no idea. I didn't. I mean, all I did at that point for workouts was running, and I did yoga. So I had 0 upper body, and so it was more of a, when I finish it, it's just a reminder of where I've come from. Mm-hmm. So it's and it's really, because it was so hard for me at first to be able to do it. Like there were some, like Liberator and Backstabber, a lot of people don't like and had a hard time. I remember when they introduced it in 2015, right? I think at World's Toughest Mudder 2015 is when they introduced Liberator, or was it 2014?
I know they had it at 2015. I'm not sure when it got introduced.
Yeah, maybe. But I remember thinking at least that it was mandatory, and everyone was so scared about it, and I had 0 problem with it. But so to me, it's not a favorite obstacle because it's not hard for me to do.
Sure.
So I think Funky Monkey, if I say that, I'm trying to think, but yeah, I think probably Funky Monkey.
Do you have an obstacle where when you come up to it, you're like, not this again?
Yep. Every time. Everest.
Really?
Yeah, because my first Tough Mudder I did was in 2011 in Wintergreen, Virginia. And it was one of the last obstacles. And so I'd never done, I remember, as nervous as I was to do World's Toughest Mudder, I was almost as nervous to do my first Tough Mudder. Because at that point, I had not even run, I only started running less than a year prior to that. I wasn't even active, really, and for about a year. And the only obstacle races I'd done were like 5Ks. Mm-hmm. And when I decided to do Tough Mudder, it was like, I was so scared, and it was like a big deal, and I was telling everybody, but again, almost like doing how I was my first world. And it was one of the last obstacles, and I came up to it, and there was a half-hour wait to even attempt it. Mm. So I had to stand there and watch people smash their face and fail and fail and fail. And so, to be honest, even with Everest 1.0, I never officially attempted to make it on my own. I've always gone for help. I always hate it. And I tore my hamstring back in 2014 and did not get it diagnosed for over a year. So from 2014 through 2015, and literally it just started, my legs started to feel better about 5 months ago. I steered clear of sprinting and a lot of things because I would feel it in my hamstring. So I was just horrible at it. And there were times that I could, for 2.0, I could get easily to 2, like if it was pretty dry, I could get to the people's hands and like almost walk up, mm-hmm. and it was easy. There were other times that I was that girl hanging upside down and they're having to like
grab my foot.
Yeah, and it's horrible because I remember it was Tri-State this past year, and I forget who it was at the top, and she was volunteering, but she was Saul Davidson's wife, Rachel. She was up top and said, "Oh, Melissa, you're going to solo this?" And I looked at her, I said, "What makes everybody think I'm fast? Like, where do you guys get this? I don't tell anybody I'm fast." So, I mean, it took me like 4 times to get up. And then, who was it? Almost knocked himself out. He started seeing stars. Like, it's just that I was there. A friend, Eric, ripped his hand open at Tri-State 2014 because the boards came undone, like literally down to the bone. So it's one of those obstacles I've seen too many injuries at that every time I come up to it. But I want to make it my favorite because I want it to be the new Funky Monkey. I want it to be the thing that I can now go up and I don't know if I could ever do 2.0 alone. I mean, I'm thinking with my height and stuff, maybe I can. I don't know if I've ever really seen a girl do 2.0 alone, but I would like to at least have more confidence doing it because I have 0.
I finally figured out how to do 1.0 by myself, and then they're like, we saw that. Here's 2.0. So now I'm the guy like, grab my hands, grab my foot.
Yeah. Well, and then I used to have to be like, I had a certain way because of my hamstring. I couldn't. I had to have 2 guys, and I'm like, okay, listen, I'm going to do the splits right between you 2. And literally, that's what I would do. One guy gets my left hand, one guy gets my right hand, and then there's a space in between them, and I literally have to like do the splits to get up. Mm-hmm. But because I want to protect the one hamstring.
Where did the Sharkbait nickname come from?
I have been obsessed with sharks since I saw Jaws when I was like 6 years old. And before that was dinosaurs, and then it was Jaws. And I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to spend my life on boats in the ocean studying sharks. And I took every single science and biology. I never took one business class, one accounting class, nothing in high school or college, except with the necessities. And I was just obsessed, and I loved to swim. I grew up, like I said, on the East Coast of Virginia, and we would vacation a lot into Outer Banks and Nags Head and stuff with friends when I was in my 20s, and I would always be swimming at dusk, and it was stupid because I knew, and there would be shark sightings and stuff. And my nephew was really young at the time, and my friends' kids were very young. They were all between like 2 and 4, and they loved that movie Nemo. And they would make a joke like, "Melissa, you're going to turn into Sharkbait." Well, when I joined Team Dirty Birds, which is a Tough Mudder team based out of near Raceway Park, New Jersey, if you see anybody with a Dirty Bird shirt, they all have, everyone, it's a necessity. You have to have a nickname. Like that's a requirement. You have a nickname. It's usually supposed to be, funny of some sort. Like we have, Chris Maxfield is Shitbird, or, Dan Staples is Jabroni. And it's just funny names. Sometimes it's just like, Jay or, somebody's nickname. And so when we were trying to figure it out, Shitbird knew I was obsessed with sharks, and he started saying different things that were shark related. And he literally just blurted out Sharkbait. And I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect. My friend's kids and my nephew calls me Sharkbait." And that's all it was supposed to be. And it was cool because it was a conversation piece at races for the first year. People would see Sharkbait on the back, and they go, "Oh, hoo ha ha!" They all do the same thing, and you kind of talk about it. And I don't know what happened. I literally it just went from the name on the back of my shirt to people referenced me that way, and I guess it's just how they knew me and things like that. And then I started getting all the crazy shark gear and things that identified me, and I ran with it. I love it. I mean, you should see my place. Like, I've got shark stuff everywhere. Like, it's not just a racing thing. Like, I've got a shark fleece throw on my couch. I have shark. I have my dad. I mean, I have stuffed sharks. My dad just sent me this fake, how a mounted, like you would have a mounted deer head for my birthday this past year. He gave me a mounted shark head.
A real shark head?
No, it's plastic. It's not real. But it's the same concept. So I can't wait when I move. I'm gonna put it all together. But I got shark stuff everywhere. My car. I bought a car that looks like a shark. It's a Z4 Blue Beamer, and it looks like a shark. And it's my thing.
So you were on the coast of Virginia, swimming in the ocean at dusk, where sharks are in the water. Like, you wanted to see some?
No, I'm actually deathly afraid of them. I just, it was just, I don't know, I guess maybe I always had a little bit of a mutter in me where, you try to push the limits a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, no, I do that, and I swim with sharks, when I can, like snorkeling, or I've done scuba diving with sharks and things like that. Because when I didn't go into the marine biology field for work, I decided to go a different route, and I realized, well, being a marine biologist doesn't really pay a lot of money, and you have to really struggle. And I didn't want to turn something I loved into a struggle. Mm-hmm. So I decided, well, I'm just going to do it for fun. So I get to play with sharks for fun in my spare time, and living in South Florida makes it really easy. But now I'm moving to Virginia, and there's, it's not as accessible, but the ocean's still right there. But
do you have a favorite shark movie?
Oddly enough, is it Deep Blue Sea?
Deep Blue Sea, yeah.
Deep Blue Sea. And the reason I like it, it's stupid. The reason I like it is because if you pay attention, there's the three, like the sharks that are, being raised in this, outside cage or whatever, they die the same way the first three Jaws dies.
Oh, really?
I wonder if I'm the only person that ever noticed that. Yeah. Like the first one gets blown up, and then the second one gets, yeah. And then the first shark in Deep Blue Sea gets blown up. And the second one's electrocuted, because he was electrocuted with that big underwater cable. And the second Jaws, and then the third one was blown up again. I don't even know if it's associated, but for some reason, that's what I always remember.
Well, that can't be an accident.
Yeah. I hate that. What's that one movie where the two people get lost at sea? And
Open Water.
Yeah, I don't like that, because it reminds me of The Perfect Storm. Both of those, you finish watching the movie, and like the people in the movie died. How do you know any of that happened? Like everyone associated with this dies, which I get it. If it's a movie, it's not, but they portray it as that it's true story. Don't tell me it's a true story if all those people are dead and you have no idea what happened. I don't like that one.
How did you become the den mother for the World's Toughest Mudder community?
I was Papa Ken put me into the community the beginning of 2014, very beginning of 2014, maybe even the end of 2013. And I, at that point, had not decided to do it at all. Like I really thought it wasn't me. There's no way I could do it. Actually, Dan Staples found a post just a couple of weeks ago from 2013 World's Toughest Mudder. Matt Lowe had said something, or he was there volunteering, and he posted pictures of somebody looking miserable. And I was like, there's no way I could ever do that. And Dan Staples found it the other week, and he was like, maybe this is something you should try, Melissa. Like, I've done it 3 times now. But he put me in the community, and back then, and I don't know how long you've been in the community, but every year up until after 2013 World's Toughest Mudder, they created a new page every year. So when that World's Toughest Mudder was over, they deleted the old page and started new. That means they had to find everybody. That means they had to put the files in again and just start all over. So the beginning of 2014 was very silent. Like I remember days and days and days would go by, nobody said anything, which is like uncommon now. Like that, if we go minutes without somebody posting something, that's weird. But so because there was nobody in it, but they decided. I was an administrator back then, but Ken, Jim, whoever was administrator at the time, they were like, and Maddie, they're like, we're not going to keep doing this every year. We're just going to call it World's Toughest Mudder Community, and it will just stay the same, and it will always be the same thing. So I started. I posted in there a couple of times, and then when I decided to do World's Toughest Mudder in May, and I signed up in June, I started posting more, and I asked a lot of questions. I still have the original screenshots from that summer that I was taking so many screenshots of, like Lucas Parker talking about wetsuits, and like I was just trying to wrap my head around everything. And I still have them, about what millimeter suit you need to have and the lube you need to use and all this stuff. And then I started putting I was starting to use some of my local, or not local, but some of my close Tough Mudder friends for motivation for running. Like, let's go, I don't feel like running today, but let's go ahead and let's promise each other we'll run 7 miles tonight. And sometimes we would, like, me and director, we'd start at the same time. We'd be on the phone, like, you ready, set, go. And he's in Kentucky, I'm in Florida, and then we'd run, and that was our motivation. I said, well, why don't we ask other people if they want to join in? And then I saw that there were challenges on the Nike app that I used. So I just started saying, hey, well, actually, I think before I started doing the challenges, I just started saying, who wants to run 7 miles tomorrow? And then I think, like, on September 11th, I said, let's run 9.11 miles, and just different things I would just started throwing out there. And then a few people would do it. And I said, well, let me just try doing a challenge. And then that just rolled into being more involved, and started handling challenges and getting people motivated by running. I even started doing workout challenges, but that kind of fizzled because people have so many of their own workouts. They didn't follow it. But after World's Toughest 2014, Maddie actually called me and said, would you be interested in being an administrator? And at that time, I remember I was thinking, like, I can't wait for Worlds to be over because I want to get off Facebook a little bit. That didn't happen. So, they asked me to join as the female administrator. And at the same time, I was brought in new, Keith Allen was brought in new, and then PJ Jagerson was brought in new. And then it was Maddie, Jim, and Ken. And so we were all administrators, and over time, Maddie's work got crazy, so he kind of jumped off, PJ jumped off, and then it was just me, Jim, Ken, and Keith for, a year and a half. It was just us. And then earlier in 2016, we added in Ben Kirkup because he was living in the UK. We wanted somebody from the UK there, and he's done all of them. He's awesome. And then he moved to America, so now we're all in America again. But, it works. I have, we have every few weeks we have a conference call. It's usually after we start fighting. We have to have a conference call because, me and Jim get on each other's nerves. Me and Keith act like the little kids, and we kick each other. And there's so many, like, family intricacies, but Papa Ken's always the one to bring us back, and Ben's just like the uncle in the background, like, yeah, whatever, guys, just stop fighting. But we want what's best for, we really want, and I speak for myself, but I know I speak for the guys. We really feel it's a family, and a lot of people think a lot of us for different reasons, and each other in the community. Like, we didn't have to do that. You didn't have to reach out. You didn't have to help me. But when you really think of people as your family, and even you don't know them very well, you have the common bond of what you're going through, what you're going to go through, or the dedication you're going to give, and we're all going to give that dedication over the next year. You want to help those people so damn bad. And you do. My thing is I feel like I'm protecting them because we've had issues in the community where, maybe people were in there that weren't the best for the community. And I have this image in my mind of literally, like, the community behind us, and we're, like, attacking this person. Like, just stay away. Like, I'm protecting, like, just stay away. This is my family. Stay away. And so that's where the dedication comes in, because it's a Facebook group. How much work is it? It's more monitoring and checking to make sure everyone's playing nice, but it's still a lot of time. And it's easier for me because I don't have any kids, and Corey lives in Vegas, so we're not together all the time. Like, these other people have families, and they still dedicate a lot of time and we're not paid. This is simply, we want to help. We want to help these people hit their goals. And when I see, like, especially this past year, when I had over an hour to be in the finish shoot, and I got to see all these people get brown bibs, and I just, I'm thinking, like, could it be one little tidbit of information one of us shared with them that helped them get to that 50 miles would be just amazing. And if one person hit their goal because of something you said, I don't care how annoying. I post my workouts every day, and I know a lot of people think it's, I'm full big-headed and whatever for doing that, and mostly when I post pictures. But a lot of people private message me and say it motivates them. So I don't care. I'd rather one person be motivated and piss off 100.
Special thanks to Melissa Dugan for appearing in this episode. Also, thanks to Matt B. Davis, the granddaddy of OCR podcasts, for the inspiration. Matt, I'm 220 episodes behind you and closing fast. Don't forget to subscribe. Maddie Gregg on the podcast next week. Thanks a lot, you guys.